For this pre-flight, we're going to talk about the direction of magnetic forces on wires that carry current, as well as charged particles that are moving through fields. And what you're going to see on the screen, on the left side, I have a bunch of X's. X's stand for the direction of into the page. And dots, as you see on the right side, stand for direction out of the page. And the reason why we have to do this is because in magnetism, we use all three dimensions. The X dimension, right, left, the Y dimension, up, down, and the Z dimension, forwards and backwards, or into the page and out of the page. So we're going to use what we call the FBI gun law, and that involves you using your right hand. You may have also heard this called the right hand rule, but I tend to call it FBI gun law because, well, the three things that are involved are F, force, B, which stands for magnetic field, why the letter B, just is the way it is, and I stands for current. So FBI, and you take your hand, your right hand, and you're going to shape it like a gun. Now, what we're going to do is we're essentially going to get our three dimensions assigned by our right hand when concerning the fields and the currents and the forces. So let's start by taking a look at this example right here, where what I have is a magnetic field, which I'll label as B, and it's pointing into the page. So that's towards you, towards the screen. Now, let's say I have a wire inside of this field, and my wire happens to be carrying current to the right side. So my wire carries current to the right, and the magnetic field is inwards. So what I will do is I'll take my palm, the palm of my hand, before I even shape it like a gun, and I'm going to have it face inwards to the screen. Now I'm going to shape my hand like a gun. Do not let your palm stop facing the screen. What you need to do is you need to turn your hand to make it point to the right. Now, it might be a little bit different on the camera because of the reversing and whatnot. So you have to bear with me on that with this video. But what happens is my thumb ends up pointing upwards. Now, if you do it yourself with your palm facing the screen, go ahead and take your index finger and point it to the right. Remember, this is reverse, so this is my right still. And the result is your thumb's going to be pointing upwards towards the top of the page. And what that concludes is that the force acting on this wire is upwards. So the magnetic field is exerting a force on this wire that's carrying current to the right upwards towards the top of the page. Let's try it again. Let's take the same wire, except we're going to put it inside of this magnetic field, which this magnetic field is represented by dots. And so those dots mean that the field is coming out of the page. So it'll be heading towards your face. So you can take your palm, have your palm face your face itself. When your palm faces your face, you need to, again, turn your hand, shape it like a gun, and have the index finger point towards the right. This whole time, you might notice that, oh, it's a little bit easier if I adjust my hand and rotate it to get it to point to the right. But then what's happened is my palm has switched. My palm is now facing the screen. So keep that in mind. Again, you're going to notice the camera is going to be reversed. This is how it is. So palm for me is facing the right side, arm facing me, index fingers pointing to my right, and I see my thumb desperately is pointing down. You can also do it like this. You do have to do a little bit of moving around. It is really annoying, but it is essential. You keep the palm facing out and your index finger pointing to the right. That'll be my right, your left on the screen. And then what you get is, as a result, the force was pointing downwards. So the force on this wire would be down. Let's take a look at a few more. So I have some other fields here. Let's say, for example, this particular one, we have a wire carrying current towards the bottom of the page with the magnetic field pointing to the right. So palm faces to the right, index finger points down, make sure palm keeps facing to the right. And I see my thumb is pointing away from the screen. So I would say the magnetic force is out of the page. Now we could represent that with a dot and then put F next to it. Let's try again. We'll reverse the magnetic field, but keep the current still traveling downwards. Palm has to face to the left. Now this is my left, and it's going to be your right on the screen. Again, I'm going to keep saying that just to make sure we understand. Index finger needs to point down, and I see the thumb heading right to the screen. So that is into the page. So put in, which can be represented by an X. That's the direction of the force. Let me move this image of me for a moment. Now let's try something a little bit different with these last two. For these last two, let's go ahead and say that I have a wire, and the wire is running this way. It's actually going into the page. So I want you to think of it like this pen that I'm holding here, that this is the wire, and it's like this. And it's carrying current in to the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an X on the wire to indicate. It's not a very good X. Let me try and draw this again. Here's my wire. Here's the X indicating the direction is into the page. So palm faces towards the top. Index finger has to be pointing in towards the page. And I'll see that my thumb is pointing to the right. I might say, oh, but it's pointing to the left. Again, camera's reversed. I apologize about that. So the force would be to the right. So F is to the right. Now the last one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explicitly tell you, here's my wire, okay, and it's running this way. Now, I don't know what direction the force or the current is. I don't know what direction the current is, but what I do know is that the force is in. So that'll be represented by an X. The force is into the page. So this is the same procedure. It's just a matter of assigning the thumb before you assign the index finger. So palm is going to face downwards towards the bottom of the screen. And X for force, that's going to be inwards towards the camera. So I want my palm facing down. I want my thumb pointing towards the screen, shape my hand like a gun, and I see that my index finger is pointing to the right, to the left in your perspective, to the right on my perspective. So what I will do is I'll say that the current in this wire is to the right.